Hi everyone, hope you're having a good week, a good day, a good hour, a good month, and a good year. It's a very different year this year, but hopefully things will get better soon. I hope that everybody is looking forward to our next season, which is coming in less than 3 weeks. And on the west coast of Canada, it is a glorious season. And so I thought it would be a good time to paint one of my favorite things that I like to paint, English Bay. But we're not painting, are we? No, we're using crayons. So I've done a couple of test runs here, and I think it's pretty easy and it's pretty fast. So again, you need your white paper. Tape it to a solid background if you want to stop it from sliding. You'll need your box of crayons because you're going to be choosing different things than I am. A pencil and eraser because we're going to do a little bit of sketching. And something round that you can use to make a beach ball. Now, I use the inside of a keychain for this, but if you're using a paper this size, a quarter or a keychain might be too big and you might need a dime. So think about some coins, maybe have a few coins in front of you and see which works best because we're just going to be tracing that beach ball. Okay, and I think that's all you need to know. Let's go, lickety-split. Okay, so I have my paper taped to my board because it helps me when I'm coloring. My paper doesn't slide all over the place. I have my 4 blue crayons ready to go in order from lightest to darkest. And this is going to be the big one that I'm going to save for my water because that's going to be the super darkest. So the first thing we're going to do is color our sky. And we're going to go from the top right about to the middle of the page. Just nice sky color, light blue. Okay, we'll touch up that later as needed, put some highlights in there. I'm going to put that blue aside, and I'm going to take my blue number 2, and I'm going to outline some mountains in the background. So maybe just from the middle point of our blue sky, I'm just going to put a mountain range. You can make them look however you want. And I'm not going to color that in yet, I'm just going to leave it like that. But I'm going to put blue number 2 just over here to wait for me. Then I'm going to pick up blue number 3 and I'm going to make another mountain range. I'm going to do this one from about here. It's going to be more of a hill because it's not as high. And blue number 3 is going to just sit beside blue number 2. And I'm going to pick up blue number 4 and that's going to be my last one. I'm going to do it from about here. And it's going to come right down to my water line. So here is where my water is going to start. Okay, and now I'm going to color them in. Since I have blue number 4 in my hand, I'm going to color this dark mountain first. Then I'm going to pick up my number 3 and do the second last mountain or hill range that I did. Now remember, I should have said this at the beginning, if you don't have different shades of blue, you're just going to color the first one very lightly, the second one just a little bit darker, and the third one darker still. Okay, I'm taking my blue number 2 and I'm coloring my farthest mountain range. And because it's farther away, that's why it's lighter looking. Alrighty, I'm going to put those away, but in order in case I need to touch them up again later. I can see that my closest mountain here, it almost looks the same color, but I'm going to add some green to this because we will see it being a little bit more green with trees and stuff. So I'm going to color some dark green right on top of that closest range. And that green is going to come right down to the water and right along the waterfront to the end of the page. I can even put a little bit of light green on range number 2, but it's not going to be as dark as number 1 or as light or as dark as number 3 or as light as number 1. Okay, after that we are going to mark in our sand. Now get your pencil ready. Our sand is going to be, maybe about half of the white space. So put a mark in the center and we're just going to put a line across that. And then get your circular object. Depending on how big your paper is, you don't want to put like a glass here because you're going to trace a beach ball. And your ball has to be just a nice big beach ball in our foreground. So if you have a piece of paper this big, I would probably use a quarter. If your paper is smaller, you might want to use a dime. I am doing a freehand circle, but you can use whatever object. You see, mine is actually quite a big beach ball, but it's in the foreground. It's closest to us, so it looks big. I'm going to put a little dot in the middle, and then I'm going to put my triangles because this is going to be a bright, beautiful beach ball. Alrighty. Now we're going to get some browns. If you have one brown, that's fine. You're going to color very lightly, and black, and we're going to color our sand. Go around the beach ball. Don't color inside the beach ball. That'll come at our very end. Okay, and we will touch up the sand a little bit later too. All right, the next thing we're going to do is take our pencil and we are going to draw one of those big tankers that are in the bay. One time I counted 17 tankers in there. Quite amazing. Now, they're going to be fairly small because they are kind of in the distance from where we're standing on the beach. But we want to see it. So I'm going to do this at a bit of an angle, like I'm starting a triangle. And then I'm going to put my line across, and this is how big my tanker is going to be, just like that. This line will come across, and there it is. Now the tanker has some sort of a little thing at the back here. I'm putting a square on it. And it has something here, I'm not sure what that is. And then there are 4 stacks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they have like little U's between them because there's a line. Usually it's white, so there's 3 U's between them. All right. The first thing we're going to do is put a red stripe along the very bottom of the tanker. I have noticed that they have this red stripe, and it kind of makes them stand out a bit. It's quite nice. I want it to be really dark, so I'm going over it a few times with my red crayon. And then I'm going to take my black and I'm going to color in the tanker. I wish I had a nice sharp black, but I do not. So that black above the red, color it carefully, but color it darkly and heavily. And then let's color in those 4 stacks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this little square thing, we're outlining it, but I think it stays white in the middle. And whatever's on top of that, let's just color that black. Now I'm going to use my pencil because it's a bit sharper to make those lines, which are not very sharp anyway. If you have a fine liner, I suppose you can go over these little U's in here with that, but I'm happy with that. Now the white that's between these stacks, we're going to leave that for the moment because we want that to show up. Those stacks actually are black and white, so we're going to keep that, and that's good. Okay, now we are going to color our water. Get your darkest blue, and I'm going to color it all first, and then I'm going to color it darker. First of all, I just want to see where I'm going to put my darker bits. We're also going to pretend that there's some frothy white waves washing up on the shore. So let's put a little wavy line just above the sand, and let's not color that in just yet. So I'm looking at my water. It's pretty, but it's not very realistic. We need some dark spots in there. So it's going to be very dark near the shore. Also over here on the right side, because the sun is here on the left side. So it's going to be darker away from the sun. And there's going to be somewhat of a shadow from the ship. Let's try to put that in first. I am going to put a bit of black in my shadow of the ship. I'm also going to take some black, very lightly, put a shadow in the sand, We're going to add some dark brown into our sand. First along the edge to see if there's some way we can make those waves show up a little bit. I'm going to use a smaller blue and just go in and touch up some of my dark spots here. I see there's lots of white behind these tankers, behind the stacks, and it doesn't look like they're part of the stack, so I'm going to put a little line of blue just so that there's a little bit of white showing, not a lot. Perfect. Okay, and add a bit more blue in there. I want to keep some of the white highlights because the water is not all just one color. It has highlights and lowlights in it. Okay, I'm going to go back and take my number 1, no, not my sky, my number 2 blue for the mountain here. And I'm going to make the far one just a little bit darker. Just fill in some of the white spots. Same with my number 3 blue. And my closest mountain range. Okay, let's color that beach ball. Use whatever colors you want. You don't have to copy me. Just whatever you want. Make them nice and dark because this is a little bright spot or even a focal spot in our picture. The beach ball and the ship itself. I'm going to go over that red a little bit too. These are the things that will catch our viewer's eye. Again, if you have a fine liner, you can outline some of the lines in your picture anywhere. I'm just going to use my black crayon and surround my ball a little bit. My ball's a little lumpy. Maybe it's been sitting in the sand too long. And there we go. That is our English Bay in Vancouver. Thank you so much for watching my tutorials. There's 10 of them now online. You can find them with the title Crayon Art Tutorial for Kids.